Hello, everybody. This is Colin, or whatever you want to call me, Keck the Ronin, Colin Eldred-Cohen, CEC, whatever, who's just got back from the second day of Comic-Con. I'm sure you can probably tell because I've got massive hat hair from my Dresden cosplay. Saw a lot of fun things there, saw the beginning for the new Green Lantern series, and Robot Chicken panel, which was freaking hilarious. But the thing I'm going to talk to you about is the premiere of Batman Year One, which is the newest addition to the DC animated movies that have been coming out recently. This is based on I think it's an award-winning novel, graphic novel by Frank Miller. And I think this is like the first direct translation they've done. And I gotta tell you, I have some issues with this production. Don't get me wrong, it's not bad, but I think it's definitely the inferior movie to other better works, like, say, Green Lantern First Flight, or Batman Under the Red Hood, which premiered at Comic-Con the last 2 years. So, what makes this interesting, and I should probably say beforehand, I haven't read the Frank Miller graphic novel, so I could be misinterpreting some stuff that may have been intentional, but I found it really interesting that this was really the story of James Gordon, or Commissioner Gordon, or Lieutenant Gordon as he's known back then, as opposed to Batman. Because we all know the Batman story. It's been there since the beginning. We all know. The parents die, he decides he will dress up like a bat. They make allusions to the Batman story, of course. They show his parents getting killed. They show his big revelation, which leads to a really weird thing I've noticed. Everyone in this movie has super strength. Like, I see Bruce Wayne, buff guy that he is, but he kicks a door, like a car door, clear off its frame. And for a minute there, I'm thinking, okay, this is interesting. This is Clark Kent as Batman. But, of course not. Like, Frank Miller has some weird issue with Superman or something. But yeah, and on top of that, the bat that inspires him, like, it flies straight through the window of Wayne Manor, like, just crashes through it. And I'm sorry, that was just funny to me. I know it's supposed to be a serious scene, but come on. Like, a bird wouldn't survive an impact with a window. I mean, you cannot possibly tell me that a bat would have any better luck. I mean, come on. But it sort of played out, but I do want to say something. The voice actor they got for Batman, he was not very good, which is especially bad because this being a Frank Miller thing and being sort of a noir piece, they had him do, like, these long narrations or talks. And when he's trying to sound serious, he just sounds bored. He just sounds like he's reading it. The only time I ever believed that, that he was, like, legitimately in character was when he was, playing up, the Playboy Bruce Wayne thing, which, when your best acting job is when you're supposed to be acting like you're acting, it's kind of weird. Though, while we're on the subject of voices, I did like Eliza Dushku as Catwoman, or Selina Kyle, because, to be honest, even though she's got pretty high billing, she's not really given anything to do. I mean, I get that it's an origin story, but, like, there's not really a lot of reason for her to be there. I mean, she shows up, like, she beats up Bruce Wayne at one point, before she's Catwoman. Like, she gets inspired by Batman to become Catwoman. She gets, the media thinks that she's an accomplice of Batman, and then nothing really happens. Like, there's no... It's a very unsatisfying end to the character arc. In fact, truth be told, a lot of this film felt really anticlimactic for some reason. Like, there was no... The closest thing they got to a big finish was when Gordon was chasing after the guy who had his infant son hostage. Like, this car chase. And for the most part, it was focusing on Bruce Wayne hopping rooftops. But yeah, there wasn't anything big. Although, there was one part, Gordon crashes into the car that his baby's in and nearly runs it off the road, and the baby's fine. Like, I'm sorry, there's no baby that works like that. Like, you ever heard of shaken baby syndrome? Yeah, it gets doubly bad in a car, believe you me. So yeah, that just came off as a little weird. And yeah, there wasn't much to the climax. I mean, I guess Gordon... I won't spoil anything, because it's not coming out until October. But Gordon kind of reaches the end of the arc. Like, I mean, you know how it ends. You know he gets he's gonna become commissioner eventually. He doesn't do it this movie. But... So, like, he kind of reaches the end of an arc. But it just felt like a lot of it was incomplete or, like, only so-so. And again, I haven't read the Frank Miller novel, so maybe I'm missing it. Maybe it's a stylistic thing or something. And I will say, though, when it works, it really does work. The animation is great, especially during the fight scenes. Like, wow, that's just some excellent, excellent fighting right there. Like, it gets to be like one big fluid thing. I could actually see a lot of where Batman Begins took inspiration from this, which is really cool. And there were some times where the animation dipped a little bit, like, their eyes are weird, like, there's no white in their eyes, which always weirds me out, but I guess it's kind of a thing sometimes. And really, that's all I can say. I mean, it's the Batman origin story, but from the position of Commissioner James Gordon. Then not Commissioner, as I've said before. So there's not a lot to say. It kind of pains me to say this, but I can't give this a glowing recommendation. I did like it. I was really going along with it. Some stuff felt like it cut off a bit too abruptly, but it was still a fun experience. In my view, like, they say it's available for Blu-ray, DVD, pay-per-view, and free download. My personal recommendation is get the free download, decide if it's worth buying there. Myself, I can't have that. I'm sorry. It's good, but I wouldn't add it to my collection on principle. I mean, I'm making this seem a lot worse than it is, because really, during the middle is really some of the strongest points. But, I don't know, it just the fact that the ending just kind of petered out just left a really weird taste in my mouth. Maybe this is coming from the fact that it's so directly adapted from the source material. I don't think they changed a lot. I could tell that that there was a lot of Millerisms in the dialogue, like when the then commissioner is talking to James Gordon, talking to Gordon, should stop being so formal. Ooh. He always ends his lines with, "I like this," or "that is good," or something like that. And it comes off as really unnatural, unless written from a noir perspective, which, ever since Sin City, Frank Miller has been in freaking love with. Yeah. But yeah, this was clearly written during the time where he got Batman. And hey, there was one woman in the movie that wasn't a whore. I mean, that's cool. It's Gordon's wife, for the record. I mean, then again, when you've got a pregnant wife, I mean, there's not a lot you can do with it to whore her up. But, again, get the free download or rent it or maybe use Netflix for it and then decide if you want it. Until then, I must take off into the night. I'm Batman.